welcome to another episode of We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters advocate for more cats in fiction. We're kicking off our holiday season this week with Season of Love by Helena Greer, a sapphic, Jewish, Hallmark Christmas movie all wrapped up in a book, which is frankly amazing. Listen to us struggle to remember chronological order, hear our pitch/plea for the next book in this series, and tumble into a cozy holiday season romance with us. And we are so excited to announce that our exclusive holiday merch is now up on our Redbubble store. This is only going to be available for the month of December 2022, so get your ugly Christmas sweaters and your Hanukkah puns and your winter gear so that you have something cozy to wear while you're listening to the pod this winter. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review and enjoy the show. Yeah, so I made today, this morning, I saw a reel of someone who made one of those like ugly Christmas sweater design things. And I was like, hang on. I made a bunch of Christmas and holiday sayings. Why don't I make an ugly Christmas sweater out of those? And so we're recording an hour and a half later than I said we would because I lost track of time choosing which cross-stitch reindeer I wanted to put in the design.
It's okay. I found a stray cat to pet. It wasn't stray. I found someone's outdoor cat to pet.
How do you know it wasn't a stray?
Because the neighbors came home and said that's Socks.
Yeah, but they could have just named him. You know, he could just be the local stray cat that they named.
No, he was like hanging out in the same yard and was very well groomed.
He's good at grooming himself. Don't underestimate Socks.
I would never.
The door is shaking to this office.
Oh my God. Let them in. Let them in. Sometimes I see videos of cats jumping and they're just like magic. It's like how the vampires in Twilight are described as like you just think about it and then suddenly you've done the movement. Like the cat is like just thinking about it and then suddenly it's like on the window ledge or whatever. And our cats are just not like that. They never have been. I don't understand. Like either of them separate. It's not like we even got them together. They're not like related or anything. They're just like
Evie is just weird. Evie is not a regular cat. She doesn't do any of the regular cat things. She's just weird. Addie is a regular cat in like all other respects. I don't think she's clumsy because she's inherently clumsy the way Evie is. I think she's clumsy because she's so dense.
Yeah, I think so too.
So like it's hard for her to balance because and dense, listener, is really the only way to describe it because she's not just a fat cat. She's a small cat. Like if she lost, like she's only 13 pounds, but she is small. So everything is packed into like a very small space. She's a brick house, I'll tell you that.
She really is, yeah.
Anyway, there's a cat in today's book.
Yeah,
not enough.
Cat.
I would like to complain.
I know.
He is not a big enough character. He doesn't contribute meaningfully to the plot. It's upsetting, frankly. I expected, I wanted more.
Listen, but at least he's like the same size as one of the main characters when he stretches out.
That's true. Yeah, what is he, a Maine Coon? Like he's a giant fucking cat.
Yeah, no, I think he has a Maine Coon, like the way he's described, or like a Norwegian forest cat, like whatever. And they're like, yeah, aren't they like he's a stray that just wandered in? I'm like, all right, yeah.
I think
where do you live? The woods of Siberia?
Yes. Actually, I think, he is. He's a tortoiseshell Norwegian forest cat named Kringle.
Oh, is that what they said? Okay, yeah.
And he's a rare, Rachel, you like this. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah,
They specifically called out that it is very rare for boys to be tortoiseshells, but possible. So I guess the cat has Klinefelter syndrome.
Yeah, no, that's
which makes sense that he's that big, because isn't Klinefelter syndrome in humans like you're super tall?
No, you're mixing it. I think you're mixing that up with I'm blanking. The other one that makes you tall. You're mixing up with Marfan syndrome, I think. Although I think you might be tall with Klinefelters too.
Oh no. Well, in humans, it's like low testosterone, reduced muscle mass, reduced facial hair and body hair. So
yeah, they're usually tall. No, you're right. People are usually taller.
So maybe that happens with cats too.
Yeah. An average height of 6 feet.
Klinefelters is just men. So it's interesting that they're tall, but like everything else is like
yeah.
but like everything else about about the like symptoms and
Well,
state is like lesser of like that quote unquote male
no,
stuff,
I
like
understand
less
and there's
facial hair,
other
less
things like that.
testosterone.
I don't know what it's something to do with testosterone because I don't know if you knew, like, if you're a man who has an older brother, but if you're taller than that older brother, that is correlated. Like, yeah, you get less testosterone in the womb or whatever, but if you're taller than your older brother, that means you got like even less or something. Like, it's correlated with something. I think it might mean, well, younger brothers in general are more likely to be gay. I think if you're taller than your older brother, you're like even more likely to be gay for some reason or something like that. I don't know. There's something with that.
Yeah. All right, today's book is Season of Love by Helena Greer. And I would like to give a shout out to Alison Cochrun. We did her book earlier this year, The Charm Offensive, and we also interviewed her on the pod because she introduced me to this book. I would not have heard of it. She was like, yes, I am writing a holiday sapphic book, and there are other people writing holiday sapphic books, and this is one of them.
Mm.
And she was like, it's a gay and Jewish Hallmark Christmas movie. And I was like, sold immediately, like perfect concept. And you know what? It lived up to the expectation. It
It
was
really
very
did.
cozy. It was very warm. Really enjoyed it.
So this book is called Season of Love by Helena Greer, which is such a great name. I just really love that name. I don't know how to pronounce it because in my head it's different every time. Helena. I like Helena Greer. Just
I like Helena as
top
well.
notch. Yeah, I like
It
both.
depends on my mood, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like a
Yeah,
Helena girl and
Helena
sometimes I'm like
Greer.
Helena.
Yeah.
Depends, like, are you Greek? Are you English? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where are you coming from?
Right. And then you have like Lena in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, who is Lena, not Lena or whatever. Anyway.
But she's Lena to her Greek
Helena.
grandparents.
And no one says it Helena. Helena. It's never Helena, even when it is Lena. But it's a
Helena or
name
Helena.
written
Wait,
down at least, and also out loud. But
Lena. Yeah.
no one
I don't
says
know.
Lena.
Fantastic name. Well done.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's
H. Greer.
it's a pen name, right?
I don't know. But oh, do you know what I freaking realized? So her Instagram handle was like, it's like something that's like not immediately obvious like what it is. And you know when you read those social media handles, you just kind of are like first letter, random mix of letters, blah 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 blah, like in your head. But then after I read this book, I like was like looking at her Instagram so I could like tag her in the like episode announcement post when I was scheduling it. And her Instagram handle is Bloom Again Curios. Like the main
Wow, I love
character. I was
it.
like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I never could, because in my head it was B scramble, scramble, scramble of letters. And I just like never bothered to like see whether
Right.
it's
I
actually said
wonder.
anything.
Wait, that exists. Like Bloom Again consignments at least. Let me see.
Well, but that's
There's a
different.
Facebook page. Yeah, it's true. Huh. Awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
cute.
way to stick to the bit. Like, well
Right.
done. Like, she really committed. I was like,
Yeah.
fabulous. I wonder whether she'll keep it for the next. Well, actually,
For the
one thing
next
that
book or change it. Yeah,
the
true.
next book hasn't been announced yet. As far as
Mhm.
I can see, it's not on Goodreads. She hasn't announced it as far as I could tell on her Instagram. Like I haven't, and I'm like, excuse me. The end of this book sets up the next book, and I would like it, please. Like, what the hell? Why haven't I already been guaranteed the next book?
Until the epilogue, until the ending, I was like, I could see the next book being like any number. There could be like 3 or
Oh
4 different
yeah.
storylines that this could follow, and I'm down for any of them. Like, this
Yeah.
is great.
If the second book isn't Levi and Hannah, I will riot. Like I'm gonna sue.
But I want Tara also. Like, I was hoping for like a Tara story too. Unclear if she's gonna get one though.
Well, that was my thing about Tara is I was like, why does Tara exist? It felt very, because this is this author's debut book, and it felt very debut author syndrome where you
Like
just
too
have
many
so
characters.
many characters.
Yeah.
And that was really like there were a lot of characters that I was like, these could have been
Mhm.
combined. This could like the Tara plot line could have been cut out all because it really has no effect. It has no
Yeah.
effect
No, it
like
doesn't.
over on the
Except to
overall
like have a
plot.
reason for like the first third, like why they can't be
No,
together.
because like they're enemies. Because they're enemies. Like they get off on
Sure.
the wrong foot. Yeah, and there was also like it wasn't even just too many characters. It was, and this wasn't like this didn't like turn me off the book or anything. Like, I still really liked it, but it was too many characters and then also too many details about too many characters because it wasn't just like
Yeah.
side characters bopping in. Like we got
Right.
Cole's whole backstory, we got like all these people's whole backstory, and I was like, I don't need
We have a
this.
random shop owner with like moving
Yeah,
to
like
the
yeah,
town.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
so many. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're setting up a world. Like,
I
this
know they're
is gonna
setting
be
up a
like a
world,
whole
but I was
holiday
like,
romance
I
series.
I didn't need, you know what I mean? I was just like, I thought this was gonna be
Yeah,
relevant and then it wasn't. And I
right.
understand because it is like the aesthetic of it is supposed to be like a Hallmark Christmas movie, right?
Mhm.
And in those movies, when the big city heroine comes back to her like small town hometown, there is like the random barista who like flirts with the delivery man and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is like in line with what she was trying to do, but I just felt like I was like, why did we need all these backstories? Like detailed
Yeah. No,
backstories. It wasn't even
absolutely.
just like, yeah, the barista and the delivery man are flirting, like have crushes on each other.
Yeah. Well, the Cole and Tara thing was fine. Like, their backstory, that wasn't that much. And that also was, like, to show her, like, people didn't trust her with their stories. It happened kind of late, but, like, she's like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not someone who's, like, been available for my like, who's made the people
Yeah.
close to me comfortable telling me."
But it also happened in a weird place because they were
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about
It
the
was so
dad.
late.
And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
know.
how does this relate to the dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know.
All right. We're talking about all these characters that we haven't
Anyway,
introduced.
listen.
So our main character, this is dual POV, but did you feel like it really like it didn't need to be dual POV? Like, I feel
Mm,
like like Noelle, so
yeah,
Noelle
I
is the love
agree.
interest,
Yeah,
and she has, like, a little bit of an arc, but, like, the
right.
story and the driving action of the plot is Miriam.
Yeah. No, and it was very much, like, especially towards the end, like, it very much I don't like, bordered on the edge of, like, women's fiction or whatever you would call it, like, not where the, like, personal growth is, like, more the plot like, the romance was very much central, but we did get a lot of extra stuff that you wouldn't necessarily always get of just, like, wrap up of Miriam's life with, like,
Yeah.
Tara, whatever, that, like, you wouldn't always get. That wasn't
Yeah.
directly relevant to the romance, you know? So, yeah, it could have just been Miriam.
Noelle is, like, a, very tall, like, butch lesbian, so, like, the narrator had sort of the woman had, like, a deeper voice, it was kind of gruffer, and then the Miriam voice, because Miriam is, like, very femme, she's small, like, all of that, she had, like, sort of higher pitched voice, and there were sometimes when it went from Noelle to Miriam where I was like, "A child!" Like, when Miriam would start to
Oh, yeah.
talk.
So, okay, so
Miriam Bloom.
Miriam Bloom is like a internet celebrity somewhat, like, she's kind of an influencer. She upcycles antique pieces and makes, like, art pieces out of them. That's, like, her whole shtick.
And seems to make a shit ton of money.
Oh,
Like, sells them
absolutely.
for,
Like, she's
like
opening a physical store. Yeah, sells
yeah.
them for, like oh, right, like, at the end for
Like,
a lot
tens
of
of
money.
thousands, at the
No,
end for, like, hundreds of
and I
thousands.
just abs this author is absolutely, like, grew up rich. Like, there's the way that I can't describe it, but it's, like, the way that she, like, talks about money and, like, relatively being poor and just, like, generally the, like, world building, like, I just know that she grew up, like, very I don't know. Like, that's not a bad thing, but it's, like, it just
Yeah.
gave an aura of authentic like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's the same way. Honestly, like, quite frankly, that fits in with the Hallmark Christmas movie feel, because the Hallmark Christmas
Oh,
movie is always
absolutely.
like,
The
none of
nicest
these
house
people have to
yeah,
worry about money. Maybe
right,
the plot is like, we have to save the local bake shop because we're running out of money,
right.
but it's always like a very easy fit.
We would
Like,
be fine, yeah, like
yeah,
yeah, no, absolutely,
so
yeah. Right, yeah, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just, like, something I
yeah, yeah.
noticed. There are old families that really wanna contribute, of course they would pay 30,000 for a painting, like, it's just, like, not something that someone who came from, like, a middle or lower class household would, like, write it that way, you know? I don't know,
It
it's just
feels
something
like.
I
I mean, yeah,
noticed.
maybe she grew up, we have no background on the author, but yeah.
And it's just, like, right, but, like, just being
It
around, like,
doesn't feel like
rich
something that's,
people
like, parallel to your experience,
It
like, to
feels
our
like it feels
experience.
like when I interact with friends that are really rich, like, in the way that they
Yeah.
like, it's just different. Yeah,
No,
no,
no, I definitely see
absolutely.
that, like, just thinking about my, like,
Yeah.
richer friends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, our main character is Miriam Bloom. She she does come from money, like, she's, like, the extended
Oh,
family.
yeah, that was another thing that was so weird that, like, seemed like it was gonna be relevant, like, the whole bakery thing. I was like, "Did this" like, I'm surprised this was her first book because I was like, "Is this, like, a thing that's, like, been established in a previous book? Like, is it gonna become
No,
relevant?"
I think it was to establish why a lot of the people in this book had generational wealth.
Oh,
So
maybe, but, like,
basically,
they
so she
don't.
she's
Like,
like
it's not
she's like the cousin of, like, she's not part of the main branch of the Rosenstein family, who owns, like, this really successful, like, bakery chain line, like,
yeah.
like, they create baked goods and they're delicious. And I was like, fantastic.
But, like, but when did the generational wealth really like
Well,
I don't
why
know.
the Christmas tree farm exists.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
Why, like, how they did have to, like, back them for the bank, like,
But
invest in the
oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. They were actually backing them because the way it was like the way it was pitched was like, oh, they don't actually care about us, whatever. Like at the beginning, but I guess they did.
we're talking about a lot of things once again that we haven't introduced. Okay.
Okay.
Basic premise. Miriam lives in South Carolina. No, North Carolina. She lives
She
in
lives in Charleston,
Charleston.
South
She lives
Carolina.
in
Yeah.
Charleston, South Carolina. And she is in essentially an engagement of convenience with this girl who is like one of like the social elite named Tara. And like they like each other, they like having sex, like whatever, but it's like not romantic, like, and they're both very clear on that, which like I
Yeah.
wasn't sure about for a while, that like it was
Right.
also
I
on Tara's
really
end.
like that they actually explicitly talked about it. Like I believe that
Yeah.
Miriam believed that, but I really thought they were gonna have a conversation where Tara was like, "You don't love me?" Like
Yeah. No, but Tara was also like, no, no, no,
and
no. Like, so they're
Miriam was like, "You do love me?" Like
yeah,
yeah.
so they were on the same page about that, which was good at least, because
Mhm.
it made me feel a little bit less bad about like the low levels of emotional cheating. Except I don't know whether
Right.
it was emotional cheating, because she very intentionally was like, I'm not going to go there while I'm in a
I'm not gonna
relationship.
flirt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So Tara and Miriam live in Charleston, and they also have a friend, Cole, who is like a hacker and also comes from generational wealth.
And Cole's like Miriam's best friend from college and he introduced them. Like him and Tara grew
Yeah.
up together.
And then so Miriam, her aunt Cass owns a Christmas tree farm in upstate New York. Even though
Mhm.
she's Jewish, they are all Jewish. Well, not Cole and Tara, but everyone else is Jewish. She owns a Christmas tree farm because she thought it was like, she used her generational wealth because she's from the main branch of the Rosenstein
Yeah.
family.
She's like, what a
She
gag.
used
And
her
like,
generational
honestly,
wealth. She
love
was like,
it.
hilarious. I'm Jewish. I'm going to run a Christmas tree farm. I only have to work like 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Like, this
Mhm.
is a great deal. And I was like, I agree.
Yeah. So Miriam grew up going there, like loves it with her cousin Hannah, who's still there. But for the past 10 years, she hasn't talked to like anyone there. And she just found out that her Aunt Cass died, and she didn't even know she was sick. Like her mom just called her and was like, yeah, Cass died. She's been sick for a really long time. No one told you, but like they're sitting Shiva. And Miriam's like, all right, well, I definitely have to go, like to make up for not being there for
Yes.
10
And
years.
I was like, so my justice tingle was like exploding on behalf of Miriam for like nobody telling her that Cass was sick. And I know that later on it's revealed that Cass was like, don't tell Miriam I'm sick. But like, I just feel like once it gets to the point, like, I feel like you kind of know when the end is coming when somebody
Right. And
has
she
a
was, well,
terminal
also,
illness.
okay, but the other piece of that is that Miriam was like, this is such a shock. I could never have seen this woman was like 99 years
She was
old.
her great aunt. Her great
Right.
aunt.
Like she talks about, I forget, they talk about her doing something in the 20s. Like, or, right? Or
No, not the
like
20s.
she was like a burlesque dancer in the 40s or something, which like makes you really fucking old. So the fact that she's like,
Yeah.
wow,
What a shock.
what a shock. Like, no, no, they literally say she was a scandalous vaudeville dancer in the 20s. So this woman, I don't understand. She's like 120. Something doesn't add up. Something's not adding up. And
She
that's
was
why
like,
wait, and so I'm surprised that this book came out last year because I think I
this
thought I
year.
heard
This
this
book came
year,
out
sorry.
this year.
Yeah, so I remember reading like listening to that and I was like, oh, this book might have come out like 10 years ago, I guess. Like I didn't look it up
No.
though. Because then like maybe she could be like 100 and she could have been like a teen vaudeville dancer and be
I
like
mean, she's still
108.
she's
Still is really fucking old. It's like
she still technically could have been like,
if
that's still
she's
within human lifespans.
oh,
If she was
definitely, but
born in
not if
like,
she but not if this takes place in 2022. She's a vaudeville let's say she was a 14-year-old vaudeville dancer in 1920, right? That's like
but did they say 1920, or could it be like
yes.
29? You know what I mean? Was it 1920s,
Oh,
or
that's
was
true.
it
That's true. That
specifically
would make it
1920?
easier. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's say she was 14 years old. She was 14-year-old. That doesn't make any sense. But like 14-year-old vaudeville dancer in 1929. That means she would have been born in 15, right?
1915. Yeah.
So then, like, yeah, she could be
She's
106,
107.
which just still makes it really bold for Miriam to be like, who could have seen this coming? I stopped visiting her when she was 95. I haven't seen her in 10 years. Like, at that point, it's like, wouldn't you have expected, like, you should have thought she died, like, and no one told you, like, years ago.
Oh my
right?
God.
Like,
it's still like, you know, she like imagined her, she was like this indomitable like force of nature woman. Like she was like, I couldn't like, I guess she just couldn't imagine her dying ever. Um,
Right, but like,
and
come
but she
on.
yeah, she hasn't been back because we find out like immediately she has a bad relationship with her mom. And they only talk like once a month or something. And she's like, it's like our like whatever, like check-in. She has a bad relationship with her mom and she is like no contact with her dad. And essentially like her dad was abusive, but like we don't really like find out the specifics about why, just that like he was definitely very abusive, and that like one of the reasons she has a bad relationship with her mom was because just like Josh and the Hating Games mom, the mom enabled his abuse
Right, didn't,
and
yeah.
like didn't protect Miriam and is still married to him, like
Right.
isn't, you know, and unlike in the Hating Game, the mom in this book is like also a victim of his abuse. Like it's not just targeted at Miriam, but it's still like, you know, someone's a child and someone's an adult.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, yeah, so they really, so like the fact that Tara is like the big city like girlfriend, like who's like a high powered attorney and like slash like wannabe politician, like something like that, like it's just like peak Hallmark movie. Like she's the big city
That's
boyfriend, except she's a
true.
girl.
I didn't even think of that, yeah.
I guess like that's why Tara needs to exist, to fulfill the trope, because like you really
Yes.
can't, you can't have
Absolutely.
this kind of story without that trope.
Absolutely. Except, like, Tara, they don't make her into, like, a bad like,
No, she's not a villain. Yeah,
Miriam has never told Tara about, like, Kerrigan's or Aunt Cass or any of that, and, like, their
no.
house is very much, like, Tara style, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't let her, like, Tara doesn't let her put any of her art in the house, which I was just like,
I thought that she doesn't let her, like, Miriam I don't think Miriam has ever, like, tried.
yeah. But like Tara's never asked, which I feel like if like your fiance is an artist, that's like a no-brainer. Like, hey, honey, let's put your art up in the living room.
Yeah. Miriam tells Tara that she has to go to Kerrigan's to the Christmas tree farm. And Tara's like, why are you going? And then she's like, I guess I can come for like the second half, I guess. Like, you're going to miss so many social events. Like, I need you to like be the perfect wife, like whatever. Like,
Yeah,
that's what she's
Tara's like,
mostly
why
worried
don't you just
about.
send flowers? And
I
I'm like,
know.
ma'am.
Well, also, listen,
Ma'am.
I mean, come on. My great aunt died. My grand aunt, who I've
Yeah,
never
to
told
be
you about, despite the
fair,
fact that we're
yeah.
engaged. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you didn't know this woman. Why would you go? Like,
I think like Tara knew she existed, but she's like, you literally haven't like spoken to her in 10 years. Like, why would
I don't even
like,
know if she knew she existed. Like, she didn't mention it at all.
I think she did because like Cole knew that the Christmas tree farm existed, but like not really anything else.
No, that's true. Okay, so she must have like told, yeah, because there's no way Cole would have like not.
But it's
Yeah,
still like,
Cole's like
okay, your
obsessed
aunt that
with
you've
it.
mentioned like one time, like why are you going? Cole is obsessed with Kerrigan's. And he's described as Cole was her best friend since college, and while she loved him, he was a lot. And I think that is a very apt description of Cole as a character, because immediately he hears about this funeral and he's like, ah, it is my chance to go to Kerrigan's, the Christmas tree
Yes,
farm. I will force myself onto this funeral trip.
because she's never let him go before, which is really bold because he's
Well,
so
because
into it.
she's
Even
never gone. Yeah.
well, yeah, she has. Like, she only stopped going like. There's definitely like she definitely went back without taking him. Like, that's explicit. Like when they were in college before she stopped going. He's like, my body is ready. My faith in Christmas is going to be renewed. Let's fucking go. I forget how he phrases it, but he's like, "Oh, like whatever, like I'll be like your dad. I mean your brother. Like I'm too young to be a dad." I'm like, yes, I am a 35-year-old teenager.
um, she also has, oh yeah, because she's like an influencer, she has like her like antique art like fandom called the
Mhm.
Bloomers, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. And she also like as like a subgroup of the Bloomers are what she calls like her old ladies, which essentially are just like old ladies around the country that she just like has adopted as her grandmother and like makes doctor's appointments for and like helps them with their
Mhm.
like their taxes and like all of that shit.
Groceries, like yeah.
Yeah. She like, yeah, she orders groceries for them. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And she like I guess is like somewhat famous enough to sometimes be recognized in public, which is bold. And Cole like throughout the book he keeps offering to like kill and or hack her dad's bank accounts for her.
he could, and he could. I feel like that
Mhm.
wasn't used enough. Cole's like,
Oh, but he did do
I
it at the end.
hope, I know he did do it, but I just like, if and when Cole gets a book, like I need that to be like part of the primary plot. You know, like I need him hacking into something,
Oh,
being like,
something. Okay, yeah.
yeah. No, not him specifically hacking into Miriam's dad, but
Yeah.
like Like, I need that to be like the whole thing. Yeah, so they go to the Christmas tree farm, which also has an inn. And please, please, listener, if you know of someone of somewhere that is a Christmas tree farm that also has like a cute old inn that you can stay in, please let me know. Because, like, to my knowledge, in my limited experience of Christmas tree farms, that doesn't exist. They also have reindeer at this Christmas tree farm, and they have reindeer races. They have like all like God, if this exists in any capacity, please let me know. I feel like Maine probably has one.
Wait, yeah, because Christmas tree farms are usually like a day trip, I feel like, but it has to exist. Also, I thought it was funny, like when they're talking about going on the way to the airport, they're like, there are glimpses of lakes and flashes of moose on the way. It's like, flashes of moose? Like, ma'am, are the moose flashing
No.
You? Are they?
The moose is just like pulling down their pants. Make
You
all the
flashing
boy
the
moose
moose?
go. Wah. No, I've definitely heard that where people are like, yeah, we were just driving down and like, I swear I saw a moose like on the side of the road, you know?
It's like the
No.
bear I saw in Glacier.
Like
Many bears.
mooses in like trench coats, like just whipping the trench coats open, and you're like, ah, my eyes.
Or technically, like flashes of moose, like could be you flashing the moose in a way, you know, like I don't like you're flashing of
What
the
are they
moose.
doing
The
that they where you
flashing
just
of the
like lift up
moose.
your shirt, like 10 things I hate about you style, like
Yeah, exactly. Also, so they get there and she's like describing the decorations or whatever. I just like that one of the paintings that Cass had up is described as a velvet Elvis version, or like the whole thing is described as a velvet Elvis version of a Thomas Kinkade painting, which, as anyone in the puzzling world community knows,
Fabulous.
is like the best puzzle. It's the whole puzzle brand. I didn't know that the painting is you could buy the actual painting. It's like a real
You can.
painter.
I know because
Yeah.
my friend and I went to this like cutesy little like town near us today, and lo and behold, one of the stores was Thomas Kinkade, and it was
No
just
way.
paintings. It was just
Shit.
paintings. I was like, oh my
Wow.
God, he actually makes art. It's not just for
Or are they
puzzles.
so they're not like just prints of paintings? Like is this man still alive? Like who is he? Did you
I
buy one?
have
Were they
no idea.
expensive?
No, I didn't go in, but I was like very like
You
everything
didn't
from
go
like
in. He is
Paris
alive. Oh no, he's
landscape
dead.
to like the Little Mermaid. Like the Little
Oh.
Mermaid painting was there available for
Well, he died.
purchase.
He died pretty young. That's kind of sad.
Oh,
He was
Thomas.
only 44.
But he was
Oh,
so
sorry,
prolific.
54.
He was so prolific.
54. No, he
Like,
was. Wow.
now
Art
he's
critics faulted
immortalized.
his work for being kitsch, and he died of acute intoxication from alcohol and diazepam at the age of 54. Fuck the art critics.
Thomas
Thomas,
Kinkade. Oh, your
listen.
legacy will live on forever among the puzzling community.
I want to become one of the 20 American homes with a Thomas Kinkade painting.
Well, all we have to do is glue one of our puzzles together.
No, Allison, we're not doing that. So
Okay.
down the stairs saunters a tortoiseshell cat the size of a pony with ear tufts the size of a human hand. This is Crinkle, the Klinefelter's calico cat, tortoiseshell cat, sorry.
At this point, when Colin, so Hannah, her cousin, like was like lives at the farm, works at the farm, like was running the farm like with their great aunt. And at this point, I was like, this was like before I sort of like fully processed the fact that Cole was definitely not straight TM. And I was like, Cole and Hannah? I was like, for sure, like they're gonna be the perfect side romance. And I was like, I literally wrote, so Hannah's ex-fiance is named Levi, and Levi, Miriam, and Hannah were like, you know, like
the Three
a
Musketeers
triad, like as children. And I literally wrote, I'm glad Levi is confirmed as out of the picture and as Hannah's evil ex. And then I wrote, sadly, this is wrong because Levi is going to get a redemption arc.
Why did you want him to be confirmed? Of course he's going to get a redemption arc.
Well,
Why would you
I
want
wanted
him
it to be
evil?
confirmed evil ex because I didn't want that like looming over the head. You know what I mean? That like, oh, he may come back. You know, if Hannah and Cole were going to be the side romance, I didn't want that like drama, you know.
Also, this man, like, okay, so he's the son of like, I don't know what the Matthewses do. Like, they're just like, they just do everything for the inn.
I think
like,
they're
they're a married couple, work for the inn. They have like 3 kids. Levi's one of them. And the fact that Levi literally, like, this is his home. Like, much more than even Hannah's. Like, I mean, it is Hannah's home too, because like she refuses to leave, but like, it's his childhood home. His parents still live there.
But essentially, like, Hannah was like, Levi, you have to leave and never come back, like when they
Don't
broke
come
up.
back.
And then he didn't.
Yeah.
And
just
he
didn't
doesn't
even when
come back.
Cass died.
Hannah has to explicitly be like, you can come back now before he comes back. Sir.
Even when Cass dies. Even when he gets
Oh,
a
God.
third of the farm. Anyway, cut to Noelle. Okay, so Noelle is the love
A
interest.
quarter of the farm.
Noelle has been running the farm with Hannah this whole time. As previously stated, she is a large, she's specifically described as a hot, fat butch, I think is the words that Miriam's going to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wears overalls. She cuts trees, etc., etc.
She's a lumber
Her
woman.
dead parents. She's an alcoholic, like recovering, in
remission,
recovery,
yeah.
Alcoholic. Yeah. And she's like Hannah's BFF. Like they're each other's person, quote unquote, whatever.
And she has, at the beginning, has a lot of bottled up resentment towards Miriam because apparently everyone's always talking about how great Miriam is. And she's like, if Miriam were so great, like she would have come back. Yeah, but also like, oh, we miss Miriam so much. Oh, she was so great. Like, like blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, Miriam never fucking came back, even when Cass was like, at this point, Noelle thinks that like Miriam knew Cass was sick and like didn't even come back.
And that she didn't come back when Hannah and Levi, when Hannah like fell apart after the breakup.
Yeah. Which Miriam didn't know about Hannah and Levi. Like they were together for like 6 years.
She's been in constant contact with Levi. Like they talk. I don't know why she and Hannah didn't talk, but like, yeah, that's insane. Anyway, day of the funeral, Noelle's in the kitchen making hot chocolate or whatever. And in walks, quote, like a tiny elf who looks exactly like Cass. And she doesn't know that it's Miriam at first, even though she does look exactly like Cass.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, like, so it was like cute at first that like Miriam was described as an elf, but then like later when their relationship became sexual, I just like started like every time she was described as an elf, like I got more and more uncomfy with it. I was just like stop that now. Like it's cute. Why? Like on a first like, oh, I don't know. I was maybe because I was like picturing like the elves from the Santa Claus who are played by children.
Elves, but like they're not always.
I know, but I wasn't.
Think about like an elf.
Like no, but I understand. But it's like a Christmas elf as opposed to like Legolas from Lord of the Rings elf. You know what I mean? There are two different like contexts.
Well, but they're just but like I feel like that's not fair to the small elves to infantilize them. Like just because they're short doesn't mean they're like perpetual children.
Totally
whatever Tim Allen might tell you.
I was totally fine with it for like 90% of the book. And then it was just at the very end when she was still being called an elf that I was like, ooh.
That's funny. Well, I thought it was cute at first.
It was cute at first. I was like, oh, that's cute and very Christmas themed. Oh, also the fact that her name is Noelle, just like flagging that again, like in a Hallmark Christmas movie. Yeah. And the fact that the town, Rachel,
it's called Advent.
It's called Advent. Incredible.
Listen, as it should be. As it should
Helena,
be. That's why she picked
Helena
it.
Greer,
yeah, Miriam's like, I don't know if Cass picked it like this or like if they changed the name after she got here. Like, but Noelle's like, oh, she's just way too beautiful. It's too early in the morning for this. Like, I can't handle it. And then like she makes her coffee and Hannah walks in.
Wait, and then before she gets her coffee, Miriam, when she scrunches up her face, she looks like the grumpy cat meme. Quote.
That's funny. She has a lot of really curly hair also for nailing down Miriam's physical description. So then Hannah walks in and outs Miriam, basically, not for being gay, but for being the evil cousin, now returned, the prodigal cousin. She's like, my first best friend, Miriam, and my forever best friend, all in the same kitchen together. And Noelle's like, oh, it's you. Well, I fucking hate you. Which, like, again, she looks exactly like Cass. Why hasn't that clued her in? Unclear.
And at this point, I didn't realize that, like, so nobody seems to like Miriam's dad. So I thought everyone sort of like had the general down low on like what her home life was like. But then like later on, and so I was like, why? Like, why? Like, did they never explain this to Noelle? Why does no one get like why she left? Like, that she like didn't want to be around her dad. But then like later on, it seems that like, you know, people don't like him because he just has bad vibes. But like they didn't like know the full extent of like all the shit that he did.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, fine. Like, that's fine. But at this point I was like, guys, why are we faulting the abuse victim in this situation?
Well, there's not just bad vibes because Noelle's like, yeah, Hannah told me that like her dad, I don't know, her dad like calls Noelle the help and like makes fun of Kerrigan's. And for some reason, Hannah like passes that on to Noelle. Like, I don't know. So he is like generally shitty.
Yeah, he's generally shitty, but like the full extent of what he specifically did to
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Miriam, you know, because he
Oh,
like
definitely,
really
yeah, and her child, yeah. And Noelle's like, "Ah, now I hate her, but now I have to try not to think about how soft her hair would be to touch." Grr. Um,
she's so angry.
yeah. And so it's time for Shiva, which is like a week-long
Jewish
mourning
mourning
period where people
ritual,
come
but it's
and
not
there's
supposed to be sad necessarily. You know what I mean? Like
just people come and pay their
talk
respects and
about the
talk about the
deceased and
person
like eat
and
a
eat
lot of
deviled
food.
eggs. So okay, so this week basically goes by in a blur. Like there's no romance progress during this time, which I thought was weird. That made it not like a Hallmark movie because normally like by the end of this week it's got to be nailed in, locked and loaded.
Oh,
But instead
100%.
we just get like a few pages and it's just like then it's over.
Yeah. But it is
Yeah.
like it's October to like January is like
No, that makes
the
sense. I know
stretch of
I
this
wasn't
book.
thinking about that at first.
And also, like, you know, someone they love just died. Like, it would have felt weird if they were like hooking up in like the closet of the funeral like,
Right.
during the
No, for
Shiva.
sure. I'm just saying that would never stop a Hallmark movie. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
no.
saying.
Well, they never would hook up in a closet in the Hallmark movie, Rachel. They would like maybe sensually touch hands, but that's it.
Yeah. Or it'd be like an awkward closet scene where anyway, towards the end of the week, lawyer man shows up and he's like another person who I feel like there was way too much like
Elijah.
backstory on, Elijah. And he's like a family friend, unclear what his role is except to like be fun lawyer man who gives like sketchy legal advice. Like he does not seem to be very personally confined by ethics. But listen, professional
You're like the only
responsibility.
lawyer in this town. You know, you got to play
But it's
loose.
even
You
more
got some loose
important
with the rules.
to follow the rules of professional responsibility. Anyway, and he's like, it's time to read the will. And he's like, well, as you know, Cass originally, and as she told them, she was going to leave the farm half and half to Noelle and Hannah. But psych, like a few weeks ago, she told me to split it in 4 equal parts instead. So now it's being left to Noelle, Hannah, Miriam, and Levi. I was like, so not the rest of the Matthews family? Like not just the other kids, but like not the parents? Like
Because so the
bold.
reason she did it is because she was like she was gonna leave it to Hannah and Miriam or Hannah and Noelle, and then she was like, hang on. I gotta like Miriam calls it like she plays Yenta, who's like the matchmaker from Fiddler on the Roof. And she's like, no, I'm going out with a bang. And so I am altering my legal will simply so I can like bring
Yeah.
home a boyfriend and a girlfriend for Hannah and Miriam.
But not
Like,
just that.
that's
It's also the farm is struggling. Like she didn't
Mhm.
communicate this to Noelle and Hannah, which seems kind of shitty. Like
It's in
still,
like she took out like
it's
a
in
double
shambles.
mortgage. Like it's really
Right.
bad financial
It's
trouble.
really bad. And she's like, she has this whole metaphor. She's like, Hannah will steer the ship. Noelle will be like the first mate or something. Like Miriam will follow the stars. Levi will swab the deck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. But it doesn't sound bad like that. It's like they all have equal parts, but like I just don't know the parts of a ship. But but Noelle and Hannah are understandably pissed about this because their plan was to just like, well, first of all, they were going to own half the farm instead of only 25%, and they were just going to run it for the rest of their lives. And they like already been running it, so they're like, why is she forcing these like interlopers on us? And Hannah's like still not sure. She's like really hurt by Miriam leaving, so she's still not sure if she wants Miriam to stay. And so Hannah's like, okay, well, I'll just have to like I'll contact the Rosensteins and like see if they'll like front for us. And Miriam's like, well, that's not gonna work, but like go ahead and try.
Yeah. Well, basically Noelle is like super mean to Miriam. She's like, well, obviously you're just gonna sell your shares to us. Like that's like stupid. Like, why would you stay around here? And then like Miriam storms out and like she essentially the reason she decides to stay, and like I love this, like when someone decides to stay, like I'm gonna go and do this thing that I really don't want to do, but I'm gonna do it because I'm petty and spiteful. Like I'm gonna do it to prove not, but like just like well, you think
right, you think
that I can't do this
petty.
well.
That's not being petty. That's just like
it's
rising
kind of
to
being
a
a little
yeah.
petty.
No, and honestly, I feel like the biggest red flag that this is a side note, but people who self-describe themselves as petty, that's a no. Like I don't know. It's just like a huge red flag. Like just correlationally wise, I don't know. Like be cool.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So Miriam decides to stay. They tell Levi, but Levi, Hannah hasn't given him permission to come back to the place that he now owns 25% of. So he's not going to come back until literally the last page. So they're just like trying to figure out like what to do. They're like, Miriam is like, I'm going to like stay until Thanksgiving to like, so we can all like figure out like
Well,
what's
so she
gonna
tells
happen, and like I can stay
Tara.
whether I want to leave, or whether I want to stay, like blah 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 blah. And Noelle is just super mean to her, just really just really
Like
mean to
she's
her
like,
just the
you're a
whole
bullshit fake
time.
Instagram artist. Like me, I'm
Yeah,
steadfast. You're frivolous. Like you've never even worked
yeah.
here. And then later, Miriam's sitting there reading Jane Eyre, and Noelle walks by, and she's like, ugh. Fucking asshole Rochester. And Miriam's like, how is that fair? What's sexier than a woman who hates Edward Rochester?
Like, yeah, same,
Fair enough.
honestly. And then like Noelle also has the thought, like Miriam's in a good mood about something, and Noelle has like a thought where she like wants to collect Miriam's good moods, quote, like a raccoon collecting treasure. And
Yeah,
she's just like so mad about
absolutely. As she should be.
it.
And then so Hannah's like, okay, this is like really annoying that you guys are fighting. Like we do have to work together. We're gonna do some forced bonding with sheet masks, like face masks, which is funny because we've done that. And Noelle's like complaining, and she's like, just shut up and mask. Like,
They do have like a they do have a talk it out like thing where Hannah's like basically like, come into my office, like I'm mediating between you two. And I do appreciate that Noelle basically gets all the blame here. Like this isn't Helena Greer does a great job of not being one of those authors who's like, no, everybody's at fault here. I'm like, no,
no,
like Miriam left, but Noelle's the one that started this war. Like, and I'm glad that we
right.
get the acknowledgement of that.
Yeah, and it's also very much because Noelle tells Hannah about the fight, and she's like, and Grr, like I had to be honest about my part in it because it's important to my sobriety, which I guess is something AA teaches
No,
you
that's a thing. Yeah.
to just to be honest always. Like I
Just to be
guess
honest, like about stuff,
your
about like
fault.
feelings and like fight, to not try to, yeah, to like be honest about things that are your fault, like to not try to
Mm.
like shift the blame.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like not unclear what that has to do with alcoholism, but like I feel like that's a good
Well,
practice for
because it's
anyone.
often like,
So you
oh
don't like
no, I drink
hide your
alcohol
drinking.
because heart, yeah, like you blame other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So yeah, she like realizes she like feels bad about like shitting on her job. She's like she's the manic pixie bisexual of the estate sales scene. And we find out that Cass has like all these art pieces of Miriam's like just out in the store in like the farm this whole time, and Noelle's like always admired them and like asked Cass like, oh, where'd you get those? And Cass will just vaguely be like, oh, it's just an up and coming young artist I wanted to support, and like wouldn't tell her that it was like. So Noelle's like, wow, I've actually liked her work for years, and I really like that this
She's
was
so
like
mad about it.
this is like the one book where like the influencer slash internet person can like actually enjoy and like be proud of their work instead of like the lesson being that like it's really frivolous and dumb and like learning the true meaning of Christmas, which is like not doing anything on the internet. Like it's like that Falling for Christmas Lindsay Lohan movie that we watched. Like that's like
Oh
the
yeah.
usual way that it goes, where it's like they have to learn that they're actually being like so frivolous and like get with
Yeah,
the
the influencing is like stupid and like, yeah.
Mhm.
Although there have been a few books that I've read that, not Christmas specific, but like that.
Mhm. But there's is some, like it's weird because like, there were also some, like, vibes from Miriam, especially in the beginning, where she was like, "Yeah, I feel like I'm, like I don't feel like myself, like, I have to put on this, like, mask, like, I'm kind of sick of, like" so I don't unclear what the point of that was because she definitely does still, like, continue with that, right?
Yeah, I think she just doesn't. She's like, I really like making art, and like the influencer Instagram stuff is a necessary evil, like
Mhm.
to promote it, but like I'm not like a huge fan of it.
Oh, yeah,
You know
so
what
I
I
guess
mean?
there
Like
is
I'm
kind
good
of, like,
at
an
it, but like I
overtone.
would. But
So
like
there
it's
is
not
kind of, like, an
because
overtone
she's
to
not a
that.
huge fan of it because it's frivolous. She's just not a huge fan of it because she doesn't like being
It's
super open with her
exhausting.
feelings. Like,
Right, okay, yeah.
so now they do like Operation Save Kerrigan's, and they're all like brainstorming like plans that are going to come together for like brainstorming ideas about how to save Kerrigan's. I wrote like, I love the explicit Judaism, and like that's just true like throughout. I forget like what exactly like triggered me to write this note at that part, but yeah, just like throughout, I don't know, I just like really liked how much Judaism was a part of this book. It's just like
Mm.
cozy and feels like really community oriented in a way that like I feel like I don't necessarily see with certain other religions in books.
So this whole time, Miriam's mom was there for Shiva, but she left. Like, and she like shows up, right? She just like
Yeah,
pops
she
in
just
and
like
out
constantly makes
throughout,
appearances. Yeah.
right?
People are always making trips.
I know it's like fucking upstate New York to the Adirondacks, like so random,
Like
unclear. From
that's not
Arizona,
somewhere,
right? Like she
right?
lives in
Like it's
Arizona.
not like the closest airport is like New York, Boston. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? The closest airport is not
No, that's my
an
point. Yeah.
easily reachable distance from where this
Yeah.
Christmas tree farm is supposed to be. I'm like, how are these people just jet setting? Like, why are they doing that? That sounds exhausting. How can they afford to do that?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
unclear.
Anyway.
But sorry, so Miriam's like pitching her idea for the farm, and it's like basically to make it into like more of a year-round thing, to have events like all the time instead of just Christmas, which is bold considering that was like the whole appeal of it for Cass, was like not having to work the whole year. But
Yeah, but
whatever.
then Cass, ran the business into the ground. So
Yeah. And they're basically like, we'll think about it, and like, but are you gonna stay? And Miriam has to start like deciding.
well, because they're basically like, we're not going to be able to do this without like you are the one with this big plan. Like,
Yeah.
we're like the executing it is not really going to be possible like unless you stay.
Yeah. And then her mom shows up and they have like a fight where Miriam's basically like, you let my dad abuse me, like you never did anything. The mom's like, can we ever have a normal relationship? And Miriam's like, not if you're still married, whatever. And Noelle like overhears this whole thing. And then like afterwards, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. Like, and gives her like little 2 cents of it. She's like, you don't have to forgive her, even if she was abused too. And Miriam's like, thanks for your input, random woman who hates me. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad didn't thank you.
But yeah, she also like Noelle is like, well, growing up with that kind of manipulation, like it must be hard to trust your instincts, which like is fair. But like Miriam's reaction is basically like, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, how dare you? And she
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
another fight. Yeah. And Noelle immediately is like, I handled that wrong. I handled that
Right.
poorly.
Ooh.
Which I just really appreciate that Noelle is constantly like,
Yeah.
oh, I done fucked up.
And then they have the meeting, which we already covered, except that it takes place in the library, which is just like a room full of books that people left behind to make room for their luggage, which I love. Like, that's great.
That's fabulous.
That's
Yeah.
the best part about like this type of like place, Just, like,
Yeah. It's like all the
like
like
you never get that
random
in
stuff.
hotels. Yeah. Like, no, like books.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
because they throw it away. Like in a hotel,
Yeah.
like you leave your book at a Holiday Inn, it's going in the dumpster. It's not like going in like a
Yeah.
cute little room.
I know. And or just like even they should just put a shelf at the end. Like, I don't know. And that'll be my new project. Like how people leave Bibles in drawers, like Gideon Bibles or whatever. I'll just like thrift bookshelves and
Romance
stick them in the end
novels.
of the hallways so that they can like put books there.
Mm-hmm.
So then Noelle is like,
She's hanging out with the trees.
and she's like, never hurts to remind them that you love them. And I was like, man, you're going to murder them in cold blood. Like, I will never understand. It's like cut flowers.
That was my quest. So that was my question. Well, first of all, she calls the trees like good girl. She's like, oh, good girl, you're growing
Good
well.
girl.
And I was like, that's
Yeah.
really cute. But so I was questioning. So there are Christmas tree farms that their business model is not that they cut down the trees. It's like that replanting thing where like you basically rent a tree and then like for like 5 years. And then once the tree gets above a certain height, like they retire it and go plant it in a forest. So like the trees don't die, forest gets replenished, and you just get the same tree that's like growing slightly bigger every year. Like there are Christmas tree farms with that business model, and I'm like, why are we not doing that here? I feel like it's also more sustainable for the farm. You have to
really
grow less
expensive.
trees.
Yeah.
They just give it to you like in a pot, and then you got to water it.
Oh, I guess, but like traveling it back and forth is like difficult.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, but I've seen that. Like I don't know how common they are, but it's possible.
I mean, it's still probably better. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really bold when people are like, yes, like flowers too, just cut flowers. It's like, let me take this beautiful thing that would have kept living. Let me instead bring it inside and watch it slowly die and decay. Like,
I know we were really hard on
I
Mom
wrong?
growing up about not having like a live
real
Christmas tree,
but like absolutely.
But like
that
I
was the right
totally get
call.
it. That was absolutely the right call. Just like morally, ethically, in terms of not cutting down a tree, but also like
I don't think that's why.
was the reason that Mom did
for
it.
sure.
The mess
Yeah,
was the
exactly.
reason
I don't
Mom
think
did
he
it.
did. He definitely didn't do it.
No. I'm saying like
yeah,
just good call all around. Fake trees for the
Absolutely.
win. You use the same tree every year. It's more sustainable. It's more environmentally friendly.
Like, who's to say?
I know, but you can use it for like 20
Yeah.
years. You can use the same fucking fake tree for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like we did.
No. Yeah. No. But then there wouldn't be things like Christmas tree farms. Like there still could be though. They just wouldn't cut the trees. They could sell like hot cocoa instead of trees. So then Noelle goes to hang out with her old lady alcoholics. So Noelle has her own old ladies. Like
I love that they both have old ladies.
Right. Unclear why it's only women now that I just thought about it. Like, are there no alcoholic men? Do they just have their own group?
Well, maybe it's just like, yeah. And I do think that Miriam's old ladies do actually include some men. Like they call them old ladies, but I remember the specifics of it is like she comes in contact with all these old people because they run the antique shops that
Yeah.
like she shops at like around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's definitely like some men there that are like
Okay.
specifically like mentioned.
No,
But she
I'm
just
not,
calls
like,
them her
mad
old
about it. I'm
ladies.
just wondering.
No, no,
I guess
no, yeah.
AA could have I guess it would make sense for AA to have, like, different groups, like, not necessarily lump everyone together.
I mean, AA is based in like Christianity, so I would not be surprised if there was a gender divide there.
Right. But also I would expect an age divide, but then maybe there's just not enough people. Like, you
Yeah, this is
know?
a small town. Yeah, like maybe like in a bigger city, there would be an
Yeah, but
age
then, like,
divide, but
but then
like
that brings me to, like, why is it only the old women? I guess they could have enough for whatever. It doesn't matter. She goes and hangs out with them, and they're like,
teasing
"You
her about
need
her love
to."
life, all of that.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, "You need to get it." I don't know.
you need to get laid.
Yeah. And then the next, like, big hurdle is that they don't like, people are gonna start coming, like, checking in, whatever, and they don't know what Cass used to charge them. Like, Cass used to just, like, charge people based on, like, how much she liked them and how much she thought they could pay. So, like, some people she would, like, really, like, high price and other people, like, nothing. And so, like, all these people are just gonna show up expecting to pay what they paid before, but, like, they don't know what that is. And Miriam's like, oh, like, she's, like, worried about this, and she's like, "Oh, I'll take care of it." And Noelle's like, "Oh, never really occurred to me to worry about this." I guess Miriam does run her own business, like,
It's
I
very
guess that's the thing.
successfully.
Right, so I guess, like, that's another way I was really unfair to her. Unclear how that problem's resolved, but, like, whatever. So then, like, Hannah is in the background, like, being really controlling, which is, like, her whole shtick, and butting heads or whatever. And Miriam, after, like, a fight with Hannah or whatever, goes to talk to the reindeer, and she's like, someone like Mr. Matthews and Noelle walk up to her, like,
Yeah.
walk up on her, and she's like, "Oh," like, her first instinct is to be, like, scared because she's like, "If my dad ever saw me being sweet with an animal, it would be, like, emotional leverage forever." And so then I was like, "Oh my god, the trauma is gonna be that he, like, murdered her dog in front of her, like, that's gonna be part of it," and that's not what happened.
Close,
Well, he sold her
but
horse. Not close.
no, 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 no. But like what he does, the big thing that he does that makes her go no contact, like it's kind of
I'm sorry, no.
like it's not the same, but
No,
I'm saying it's kind of like in
it's
terms of
absolute
emotional trauma.
no, I mean, it's bad, but it's nowhere near as bad for the reader as
Well,
a
yeah,
pet
not for the reader.
murder.
I'm saying for Miriam, like in terms of
No,
like
I don't think so. I wouldn't compare that, especially because he
destroying
hates
something that you love.
it's not the same at all. He sold her horse, that's what it is. He didn't kill any animals, at least, like, on screen on page. They're like, "Oh, you should paint the barn, Miriam," and Noelle, like, volunteers to be her assistant.
It's like repaint the logo, yeah. But like Miriam has like this weird hang up about like painting. Like she's like, "Oh my god, like
Mm.
I haven't painted in a decade." And we don't know why, but so she's like super nervous about painting the mural.
Mhm. Yeah, and Noelle's like, "Oh, you're actually, like, really good," like, whatever, and Noelle opens up and she's like, "I guess I've been in kind of, like, a self-imposed fugue state for a while where, like, I just kinda put myself in a limbo, wouldn't let anyone in, or, like, because if I let, like, some emotions in, then I could let them all in, and I can't do that." And she's like, "But you hate me anyways, like, why would you care?" And Noelle's like, "I don't hate you. You have several positive qualities."
She's like, "You're not the worst person I've ever met about being a human." And then like Miriam is like, "Okay, that was really
Wow.
mean. Like we just had like an emotional moment and like you're
Right.
still being mean to me. What the fuck?" And luckily Noelle does immediately it was like, "Oh wait. That was like a really mean thing to say. Like I
It's
didn't mean
not
for
I
it to be
meant it
mean, but like it was like it definitely came off that way." But it was like Hannah just like struggles like communication or whatever. Like not like in her desire to communicate, but like just in the way she like phrases
Noelle,
shit.
you
Like
mean. Yeah.
yeah, Noelle. And no, yeah, Noelle immediately apologizes. She's also like horribly bad at the apology, but like she apologizes about like everything. And Miriam is like, "Wow, you're really bad at apologies,
Yeah.
but like accept it."
And she's like, "Yeah, like, I'm kind of like Sleeping Beauty, like, I have to decide whether to stay awake or go back to sleep, like, now that I've, like, woke up and started feeling things." And she tells Noelle about her, like, relationship with her fiancé and describes it as basically, like, friends with benefits, like, we each have, like, something the other one wants, and Noelle's like, "Are you aromantic? Because this sounds like a great relationship, like, for that." And they're like, "No," and she's like Miriam's like, "No, like, we just don't really like unpredictable things." Like,
Fair
good.
enough.
And Noelle's like, "All right, well." If you need like any more venting, like just find me and I'll let you use my chainsaw.
Yeah, she says, let me know if you want to use the chainsaw. I find it very meditative when I need to make a decision.
Right,
And I
because
was
she's
like,
still
fair
deciding what to
enough.
say. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I could imagine a chainsaw being very meditative. Not, for the original purpose of the chainsaw, as we mentioned in last episode, but for the current purpose of the chainsaw.
Absolutely. But then as Noelle walks away, around the corner comes who but Tara, the one and only, who's like randomly shown up.
I think like right before that though, Miriam does decide to break up with Tara. Like Miriam decides in her mind to break up with Tara before Tara. Like I think it's
Yeah.
literally she's like, I'm gonna break up with Tara, and then like 20 minutes later, Tara's like, I'm here for Thanksgiving.
It's impressive that Miriam like sticks to her guns. What could it be me? I feel like I would change my mind a million times, like especially the person who showed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tara shows up and Miriam
For
introduces
Thanksgiving.
them for Thanksgiving. And Miriam's introducing them to everyone. She's like, this is my cousin Hannah. This is Noelle, the manager. And Noelle is like immediately really rude. Miriam's like, why is she being so rude? She's like, who are you even? She's like, she looked like a lizard frilling out its neck to threaten intruders into its territory. And Miriam's like, I can't imagine. Why is she being so hostile to my fiance? This is so weird. Like, she'll make sure she doesn't hate me. And Tara like defaults back into her like Southern charm, which Miriam is like, that's what she does when she's like comfortable. And it's like Miriam's heart hurt at how badly Tara was trying to be polite. It's like, oh, like that's why I feel like I want Tara to have her own story, like because I feel like we get so much like many like, details about Tara.
I agree. I was like, it would have been so easy to make Tara the villain. But I also like how it's handled because I didn't think Miriam was the villain either. I was like, this just kind of sucks.
Yeah, the way it's framed is like Tara's kind of emotionally unavailable, but it's like all kind of like a defense mechanism or whatever.
But like also Miriam is emotionally unavailable,
Oh, like, absolutely. Yeah.
Like they're the same. Also at this point, before we get into like the Thanksgiving fight, we find out that Cole's full name is Nicholas.
Yeah, and I was like, and I've met people
Rachel,
like that before. I always forget.
Do you know what this means?
What?
He's the Christmas Magic Man.
Why?
Cole is his full name is Nicholas. He also provides the magic like solution to everyone's problems at that. Like Cole is the Christmas Magic Man. Cole is the Christmas Magic Man. Helena knows about the Christmas Magic Man, and she recognizes that as a time-honored trope in these movies. And she was like, I gotta include it. I'm gonna put a little twist on it because he's gonna be a young guy.
You don't think it's like cast, even though she's
I think
dead?
that was absolutely no. Because the Christmas Magic Man is like mysterious man that just pops up at random times, which is exactly what Cole does. He just pops up at random times and provides like pushes along the plot. And
there's
then like
so many people that pop. Yeah,
I know, but that like Cole literally his whole character is like flying back and forth like 5 times.
I know he really works. Yeah, it's so because like at one point she's like talking to him on the phone. I was like, wait, he's been there this whole time, but then I realized that it is on the phone. But then he does show up in person again.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tara's like she's like, oh, I love this whole like dapper aesthetic you've cultivated to Noelle. And Noelle's like, I call it Farmer Dyke, and bless your heart. Anyway, Kringle the cat gets a mention. They disturb him that night when Noelle like flops down on Hannah's bed to vent, and Hannah is like, oh, like you should just like, this isn't a problem, like you just need to tell her or whatever. Like Noelle's like, oh, well, like what if we break up, like then I'll get kicked out, like because she's the one who belongs here, like she gets Kerrigan's, I'll lose everything again, like just like I did with my parents. And Hannah's like, what are you talking about, like you belong here just as much. And she's like, yeah, like you're right, I can't imagine anything worse than owning Kerrigan's with your ex, like which is what Hannah is doing with Levi.
Yeah. Although once again, she has banned Levi from the premises.
When they call Cole in to like talk about it. So like Hannah, Noelle, and Cole are all sitting around talking about Miriam. They're like, what's her decision going to be? I was like, this is just so bold. Like I'm just waiting for Miriam to walk in and be like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. Just like it seemed like a betrayal. Like, I don't know.
My greatest fear.
It was fine. God.
All my friends sitting around talking about me, like they're not even necessarily shit talking, but just like talking about. I'm like, I
exist when I'm not physically in your presence. You perceive me.
If it's not like, oh my god, she's the best person in the entire world, I don't want you talking about me.
Oh my god. All right, so then it's time for Thanksgiving. Mrs. Matthews like cooks everything. They don't have Thanksgiving food because they all like hate Thanksgiving. They whatever. And they talk about like how Christmas at the Rosenstein's cousins, like Hannah was like, "Oh, well, it was fun there. Like Miriam never came." And Miriam was like, "Oh, I don't think we were invited." And Hannah's like, "Yeah, you definitely were, because like everyone was always complaining that you weren't there." And Miriam's like, "Oh, well, like we always had to go to like my dad's like work things or whatever, and like
Yeah.
he was always watching. Like if we did anything he deemed unacceptable, even if we'd done it a million times or he told us to do it, like there would be consequences. Like one time I wore a bow on the wrong side of my head and he sold my horse." And like this description just made me
Yeah.
like really anxious. I was like, wow, like I'm glad we got details on what the dad was actually like, because I feel like so many times it's just like vague. He
Yeah.
was shitty, and it's like that can mean anything. And like I don't, and this is almost like the specificity makes it like worse almost. And we find out that Noelle, her backstory, she got her master's in forestry at Yale, which was full of people I hated and guys named Todd, but it was a good program, which is really funny because that's exactly the same description. I have a friend who went to Yale, and that's like like almost word for word of like what her description of it is. Like
Oh my
full
God.
of people I hated and guys named Todd. Which implies you like the Todds. Corner
Yeah,
of the
that
Grand
implies like the
Canyon.
guys named Todd were the only people that she liked.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, so she wanted to be like a park ranger.
And they're like, "Why didn't you do that? Like your plan?" And she's like, "Oh, well, my parents died and I basically just like went MIA from everyone who cared about me for a while." And she's like, "I've just now realized that I've done the same thing I've been accusing of Miriam of doing this whole time, except like maybe to a much greater extent."
She was like, maybe
Crazy.
I was projecting. Huh.
Right. Unclear why, like,
Wild.
cutting off everyone you cared about would make you not move to a cabin on the Grand Canyon. Like, that didn't really add up for me, but, like, whatever. Don't question it. Made her, like, abandon her dreams. And then she's like, "And then, like, I had a friend come here and I ended up staying here with Hannah or whatever."
Because did we mention this? Noelle's parents were also alcoholics. And
Oh,
like
right. And that's
Noelle
why.
had
Yeah.
her first drink of alcohol at like 10 and was like a full-fledged like alcoholic by like 14
Mm-hmm.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, she went sober at like 18. And her parents then were like, "Oh, you're no fun
You
anymore."
left us behind. Like, so yeah. So then Noelle asked, like, Tara a question. She's like, "What do you even do besides, like, be from, like, a racist old money
Yeah, she was like, "How
family?"
does it feel to live off antebellum money?" Like she's
Right,
just like
right,
really
right.
mean.
And then Tara gives, like, a really good answer. She's like, "Oh, well, yeah, like, it does suck, but, like, I'm doing my best. Like, my whole work is, like, public defense and, like, listening to the people that I'm helping, like, whatever. But, like, of course,
She's like,
I'm
"I
not
can't help how I
perfect,
was
whatever."
born, but I can help
Yeah.
like what I'm doing
And it's a good
now."
answer. And Noelle's like, "Oh, grr." Like, it almost makes me like Tara. I hate
She's a
this.
good person. God damn it. God damn it.
Yeah. And then they go Christmas caroling, right?
Do they?
For some reason, they do it because it's like Miriam was the most present she'd ever been in her body. Like, which,
Oh.
like, Christmas caroling, what I realized is that Christmas caroling is basically the Christmas version of like when everyone sings at you for your birthday and you just have to sit
Horrible.
there and like not know what to do.
So at some point between when we have the diner scene and the dinner, like the Thanksgiving dinner scene, I watched a TikTok. Okay. And this TikTok was like a format of TikTok I've seen before. And it was about how this girl had like really conservative parents. So, it was like laughing about how they wouldn't let her sleep in the same bed with her fiance. And okay, so her fiance is actually someone like, I guess, mid-level famous. Like he's some sort of musician.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a man. This is a straight couple. But the thing is, and maybe it was because I was reading this book where the love interest is a butch lesbian. So I was like primed for like a butch femme relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But this man had long hair and just like generally was very gender ambiguous. Like he could be a butch lesbian or just like a man with long hair. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So
sure.
I was like, my first instinct was like, oh, this is a lesbian. And I was like, oh, it's so interesting that like the family is totally okay with them being lesbians, but like
Draws
draws
the
the
line
line at
at
them like
sleeping in the
sleeping
same
together
bed.
before marriage. And then she had tagged him and I clicked on his profile and I was like, this is a man. This is not.
Right. Wait, how does this relate to the book?
I just thought it was funny, and it was about a butch and a
okay.
femme. It was about a
Okay.
butch lesbian and a femme, and I was like, "Look, it's the
Okay.
book. Like, it's what I'm reading right now. Like, it's that relationship."
That's funny. And that is like a very romance novel thing. Like that is what like would happen in a
Oh,
romance
yeah.
novel. Like I can't explain. It'd be like the family who like it makes no. It'd be really unusual for that kind of type of family to be like okay with okay, but they would just like still apply all the other standards. Like
Yeah. I
yeah,
also
no,
just wanted to tell someone
absolutely.
about this TikTok, and I didn't wanna, like, comment on the video or anything because, like, I felt that would be, like, mean if I, like,
Yeah.
explicitly was like,
Okay.
I thought this was a butch lesbian, but I did want someone to know that I found it very funny.
Yes, that is funny.
So
Absolutely. So, okay. So this diner situation, there's a bunch of other like side characters that aren't important, but like basically the waitress is like I don't know, somehow is like, "Oh, come back for our like Christmas special or whatever." And Tara's like, "Oh, well Miriam won't be here after next week or whatever." And the waitress is like, "Oh, I thought you were staying." Like
basically
and
spills
then
beans,
everyone else
basically.
basically yeah, and Tara's like, what?" Like she finally realizes that like they've everyone else has knows something that she doesn't, has been keeping something from her. And they basically go into the snow and like have like a fight, like a breakup fight. And yeah, Miriam's like, "I'm really sorry, I didn't know how to tell you." And Tara's like, "All right, well, I am here like like I'm fighting in the snow with you instead of like spending the holiday with my family, who she seems to hate, but like whatever." And she's like, "Because you lied to me,
Yeah.
whatever." But like eventually they're like, "Okay, whatever." Like Miriam's like, "Maybe next Thanksgiving you'll fall in love."
And yeah, I just thought it was done really well. I was like, wow, this is like a really as healthy a breakup as it can be when like your girlfriend inherits a Christmas tree farm and ends up falling for the arborist, you know,
Right.
like
That also I feel like is the only like I feel like this type of breakup is only really possible when you don't really have feel like
oh yeah. No, 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 yeah.
and also just this is when the random man comes up and is like flirting with Cole and is like the best Darcy is obviously in the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. Wait, and I'm pretty sure that the random like sprightly man who shows up, his name I wrote
Yeah.
it down. It's Nicholas Jedediah Sawyer Bright. So his name is also Nicholas. So maybe he's the Christmas Magic Man.
They're
There's two
both the Christmas Magic
Nicholases. Really
Man. They
unclear, and they have to
combine
team up
together.
to fight crime and fall in love
Christmas,
in
save
2 books from now.
Christmas.
Wait up, yeah. So then Noelle and Miriam are just like sitting together. For some reason, Noelle is whittling a duck the whole time, like a wooden duck.
Why not? What do you
Why
mean? Why
not?
not?
Indeed. No,
You
absolutely. But
know,
like it's
like
funny. And Miriam's basically like, "Yeah, I just want you to ask me to stay. Like, will you ask me to stay?" And Noelle's like, "Will you stay?" Miriam's like, "Yes, I'm in." And so she like decides to stay.
and I just like I love how openly Miriam is like, listen, I want to fuck you like really bad. Like I know I just broke up with my girlfriend, but I really want to fuck you, but I am not emotionally ready. Like neither of us are emotionally ready for that right now. But I just want to let you know that I would be totally down to bone in any other circumstance.
Yeah. And then she goes and bakes.
Yeah, it's a cute holiday baking
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
cute holiday baking
exactly.
scene. And like Noelle
Exactly.
even licks jam off of Miriam's like the corner of her mouth. Or no, Miriam licks jam
Mhm.
off the corner of Noelle. Like, and they're standing under the mistletoe. They don't kiss. But I was like, perfect. Like Helena, you know that she inhales Hallmark movies
Oh,
like
absolutely.
at an insane pace.
Absolutely.
They're in her soul.
As they should be. Oh, and this is when the mom shows up and admits to the abuse for the first time.
And she's the mom's like waiting outside, like she won't come in the house. And
Oh, I know
she
she's
and
being dramatic.
Miriam
Yeah.
Miriam compares her to Heathcliff brooding in the moors. And I just like I really, really appreciate this is another thing, go Helena Greer, for her constant shit talking of
Literary quote
Bronte
unquote
novels. No,
heroes.
specifically
Yeah.
Bronte
Yeah.
novels, because I like hate them. Like wonderful. Helena Greer and I are on the same page about how we feel about it. At the very least, Charlotte and Emily. I've never read Anne's book. Maybe Anne's book is okay, but
Yeah.
Charlotte and Emily, no.
So then they go on their first like actual date. And I think it on Miriam's birthday? Is this when this
Yes.
happens?
Yeah, because her birthday is like the day before Christmas or something. Something like that. Or the day before
Mhm.
Hanukkah. It's the day before something.
Yeah. And they go into town. They have like in a sleigh, right? Or no, sorry, it's in like a refurbished Chevy pickup, which I thought was very Twilight of us.
Hannah and Miriam go to a local coffee shop, and we get like, you know, the local coffee shop owner, and then they go into like the thrift shop next door, and it's like this lady, and like Hannah's like, they're secretly in love. Then Noelle like finds out, they have a conversation because like Kerrigan's does like a big Christmas tree decoration, right?
Oh yeah, the
And I
Christmas
was
tree
like, oh my
lighting.
God, like you've never decorated a Christmas tree. And Miriam is like, I'm Jewish. Why would I have ever decorated a Christmas tree? No, I was like, yeah, but like it's shiny and like art and it's up your alley. Like I think that you would really like it. And then like Miriam is like, wow, like you actually like my art? You think my like art is important? Like that's wild. Like most people don't. And Noelle is like internally just screaming, like, are you kidding me? How dare anyone ever make her feel bad about herself?
Yeah, she was, because the whole time she was like, oh, it's weird that she doesn't talk about like Tara and her art as much or whatever. She doesn't like support her. And then they all go sledding like they used to as kids. That's just like another fun Hallmark movie scene that's not really like anything related. And they come into the Matthews and like Mrs. Matthews gives Miriam like, she's like, maybe you should stop making yourself the center of the story. Like all of you are, she doesn't say in a mean way, but she's like, maybe you should think about Hannah too, like whatever. And like Levi, because Levi is her son also.
I'm glad somebody finally thinks about Levi.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, right. But like the fact that his parents like aren't even like fully on his side. I know. Well, he's currently in Australia on a baking competition.
That's true. Wait. We skipped a bunch.
Oh yeah, we did. Okay, so that wasn't her birthday.
No, it wasn't her birthday. That's just Hannah and Miriam hang out. Noelle and Miriam hang out on her birthday.
Okay.
Anyway,
so they were hanging out.
So then they all go sledding together. It's a fun time. And Noelle describes it, her and Miriam sledding together, as it was like a Calvin and Hobbes strip. If Calvin and Hobbes were sexually frustrated sapphics. And I was like, I both love that description and it is also incredibly weird. It's a weird like association with a little boy and his stuffed tiger.
So weird.
Interesting. I mean, I get it. Visually, I can see it.
It's like in like, Twilight when Bella's describing, like, I forget who she's describing, like Sam and Emily as like a mother looking at her newborn child or something.
No, that was it wasn't Sam and Emily, but it was like someone. Yeah. It was like Jared and Kim, I think.
Yeah.
It was like,
anyway.
Like, I understand, but why?
So then finally it's Miriam's birthday and they go ice skating and have a heart-to-heart. And Noelle.
Wait. No, I'm sorry. Before that, they all lie on the floor by the fire, and this is when the cat lays down next to them and is as tall as Miriam when he lays down next to them. When he like stretches out. And I was just like, how? Like, I understand, like,
how huge is this cat?
How fucking big is this cat? I know that Miriam, but she's like 5'1". You know what I mean? Like 5'1". Like
think about it, if the cat like stretches its legs out. It stretches its legs out in either direction.
God damn, a 5 foot long cat.
Well, have you ever seen those pictures of Maine Coons? Like you Google that picture that we found of that woman. Like,
I know.
No, I know, but still, it's like a lion. I know.
It's
I know. It's like that thing, like how cats are more powerful pound for pound. And it's like if you had a cat the size of a dog, it would be too dangerous because it would eat you. See, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is when we also find out that the Rosensteins agree to like fund to help to back their like business application if they can like show off that they have a successful event, that they've done like a successful event.
They had told them before that they would do it if they had a business plan.
Yeah, but they agree to the business plan. They're like, show us a business plan. And now they're like, okay, so like we'll do it, but like you just have to show that like you can do a successful event or whatever. And so they decided they're adding like a carnival / like town excitement thing during the tree lighting, and Miriam is going to decorate the tree.
So now finally it's Miriam's birthday. Yes.
Okay.
Miriam's birthday.
One more thing before that.
Okay.
Levi asks to come home. He like sends Miriam a note. He's like, "Can I come home?"
It's like a weird, sketchy like
and
handwriting.
Then Miriam is
return address.
Yeah. Miriam is like, Hannah opens Miriam's mail because like she sees that it's Levi's handwriting. And she's like, oh, whoops. And then Miriam is like, it's up to you. And I'm like, again, why is Hannah the only one that gets to decide this? Like, I understand they had a bad breakup, but this is his house too. His parents are here. Yeah. His parents are here.
I know. He's like nieces and nephews. Like, yeah. Geez. Bold. All right. So it's Miriam's fucking birthday. Yes. It's finally, yes. Are we good? It's Miriam's birthday. Yes. They go ice skating, her and Noelle. They have a heart-to-heart. Miriam's like, I want you to kiss me for my birthday. They have their first kiss. But before that, Noelle, who this whole time has been like, in the beginning, she was judging Miriam for being gone and like never coming home for like 10 years. And then finally Miriam comes home and Noelle's like, well, I mean, you threw away all your dreams for Kerrigan's in an instant. How do I know you're not going to change your mind again? I was like, wow, bold. Like, I get it. It's not technically not consistent, but like, ma'am.
It is like it's her whole
Outcome,
like
it's
shtick is
consistent
like
with
constantly
reasoning.
like
Yeah, it's consistent with reasoning, not with, like, outcomes. Not like, she got the outcome she wanted, but, like, yeah.
but yeah, Miriam is like, "Let's go ice skating," and Noelle's like, "Oh, I shouldn't do it," but like I have to go to stop Miriam falling through the ice. Like, what if she goes alone and then she
I
falls through the ice?
know.
Like, that's so bad. And then, like, when they finally, like, when Miriam's like, I want you to kiss me, and Noelle's like, I don't know. And then Noelle's like, Noelle put her hands on Miriam's hips to steady herself. So Miriam didn't knock her over. That's all. Like, not to kiss. Just so you don't fall.
Right. So the next
Yeah.
day, they go on a little date just to town, and they go in Noelle's refurbished 1976 red Chevy pickup, which is very Twilight. Points for that. I feel like that ups the cat
Yes.
scale. Just like
Oh, well,
um
right after we have a Twilight when they're meeting for their date. Noelle is, quote, waiting for Miriam among the trees. And I know it's just like she's just like standing like among the trees, like doing her job, and like Miriam comes up to her. But I'm imagining like Edward Cullen like in a tree, like staring down
oh my
at.
god. Yeah, like when she's
And I was
reading.
also like, Noelle never would have broken Bella's truck because they have the same truck.
Right, she would have like, yeah, she would have been like, absolutely. Or maybe for the competition.
Yeah. But also cat scale, also not Twilight, but cat scale. Miriam's like, I don't know how to decorate the tree, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've never decorated a tree. And Noelle is like, one year there was a flying cat tree. I can't really visualize that,
I
but like,
miss
I would love
that.
to.
A flying cat tree?
Yeah.
Stop, I love it. Oh my god. The cats would probably be terrified.
Well, no, I don't think it was literal cats.
Listen, what does
No,
that
I don't think
mean?
she like tied cats to the tree.
What does that mean?
I think it was I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so they go on their little date and Noelle is like takes Miriam antique shopping, and we get one of my little favorite micro tropes where like one person just like watches the other person like doing something that they're excited about and that they love, and it's just like, this is the
Mhm.
best thing. I could watch this all day. Like just watching them be happy. She's collecting her good moods like a raccoon collecting treasure.
Which is kind of like, I don't know. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Her little tiny hands. I think it's particularly like it really stuck for me because I'm imagining like Noelle, a large human being, but with tiny little raccoon hands. Just with tiny little raccoon hands. Just going like
Mhm.
like rubbing them together.
Yeah. Washing their hands. The raccoon with the cotton candy, and he's like
Oh my
sad when it all
god, it's
disappears.
tragic.
Tragic.
Yeah. Then they pull over in the truck and they make out, which I would say was like the most explicit scene in this book. Like this book is like closed door, I would say, for
Yeah.
sure. It's not
Yeah, I
very
guess so.
steamy. But during this makeout, we get tongues and teeth and hands. We get
I
a twist.
know.
A twist.
I know.
No lips
It's like,
involved, but hands.
yeah, tongues and teeth and hands everywhere. But then it's cut off because
Yeah.
Miriam very reasonably is like, I'll get a birthday ticket for public indecency. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't usually stop people in these books, but like, fair enough. Listen, I've been saying it, fair enough. At least it's not at either of their places of
Checks
employment,
out.
technically, and they can't get fired because they do own it. But yeah.
That's true. That is true.
And then, okay, so then they have like her birthday, like Mrs. Matthews made her cake, whatever. And Cole's there for some reason. And they're like up in the attic, and Cole like finds some of her paintings. Like basically, it all comes to light.
Like Miriam used to like was like a
Paint.
successful painter.
Miri Roz. Yeah. Like she got like a lot of good press when she was like in her young 20s, like in college. They were going to have an auction for her art, like the first auction. And someone, like one anonymous person, bought all of her paintings except two. Bought them for like a lot of money. And then she goes up to like their Cape Cod beach house, because of course they have Cape Cod beach house, with her dad and mom. And the dad, it turns out it was the dad who bought them all. And he has a bonfire and burns all the paintings in front of her. because he's like, he has like, I don't know what his business is, but he has some vague undefined business
He I
that he wanted her to follow him in.
Okay, so maybe I was like Matilda projecting, but like at first I thought it was like used car sales, but I think it's like real estate. I think it's real estate
Oh, okay, okay,
somehow.
that makes sense because okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it makes sense that he'd be like locally rich, but not like
Well,
super
they do
big.
have a house in Cape Cod. They
Yeah,
are
I know.
rich.
So
I
he's
guess
like
not like
rich, can
he's not like
afford.
well
Yeah, but
known. Okay, yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
He's
He's
not
not
like
like
Bill
famous. In
Gates.
his head, he's famous. But yeah, so he's like, yeah, I've like told everyone that you're gonna follow me in my business. It'd be so embarrassing if my only daughter doesn't want to join me because like people are gonna think you want to distance yourself from me.
Especially because she like changed her name. Like she changed her name because she thought it would like make him less
Not,
mad. And then like
yeah,
but like that's what abusers do, right? Like it's like no matter what
right. It's like no matter,
no matter
yeah,
what you do, they're
exactly,
gonna be angry about it.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Um, And so he does that, and that's when she, like, is like, "Fuck you, I'm leaving." And he thought that, like, she wouldn't, because she's still in college at this point. He thought she, like, wouldn't have any way to support herself, and she'd have to come crawling back. This would, like, force her to actually join the business. But instead,
Hmm.
she, like, goes and, like, crashes on Cole's couch, like, he's the one who helps her. And he still, like, hires a PI to keep tabs on her, I guess she finds out, with her Instagram business.
Yeah.
But she basically blackmails him. So he's apparently, like, also involved in the drug trade somehow. He, like, sells
Yeah.
imports drugs on the side, but, like, they're not low class drugs. They're like middle class women
They're like
drugs.
middle
Like, I don't
class.
know. But anyway, she like threatens to expose him if he like interferes. And that's why he's
Because
gonna catch
okay,
her
so
gay
she
this whole
has it
time.
because Cole did hacking, but
Mhm.
like the way it's phrased is like, yes, she's like, I have evidence of his like involvement in illegal drug trade, which he backed off because it would ruin his reputation. I mean, I know it's implied that he would also go to jail, but like the fact that it's like, no, it's because it would ruin his reputation, not because he would be in jail. That like he would stop. I was
Yeah.
the priorities are off here, guys.
Yeah. I don't know. So now they've like she's finally come clean about that. Like she's never told anyone else about that, I don't think. So now they have the tree lighting.
And they're just so I just want to say during this whole conversation, just like all of their like, yeah, yes, they both have trauma and yes, they both have problems, but I was just like, these ladies are just like so emotionally healthy. Like this relationship is just so emotional. Like I'm sorry, but like heterosexual romance could never. Like I have never seen this kind of healthy relationship at romance, like this kind of communication. I've never seen it in a gay romance. Like it's only ever going to be in like a sapphic relationship. Like that's it. It's just like men could never in a romance novel. Never seen it.
The tree lighting happens. It's great.
It goes well, which means that shit is about to hit the fan. Because so at this point, they don't think they need to like raise money. They think they're going to be able to get a like refinance with the bank because the Rosensteins are going to like be their guarantors and like go in with business for them. And so they're like, we just have to show that this event is successful and then like everything will be fine. So the tree lighting happens. It is successful. The tree is decorated with all of Cass's old stuff that they like found in the attic, including her like 1920s vaudeville tights and like feather boas as instead of like garlands. And like, yay, the Rosensteins have agreed. This is when they go on the sleigh ride.
Okay, so after the Christmas tree that's gone great, the bank calls and they're like, "Oh yeah, so this did go well, but we did also get an offer to like for someone
In
to buy."
cash.
Right. Which unclear how that works legally. Like they can't if you have like a mortgage agreement, the bank that would be like
Yeah,
I
but
guess
they've
maybe their
like
offers,
defaulted. Like they
but
haven't
I
been
thought the
paying
bank
it.
gave them extension or whatever.
The bank hasn't made a decision yet. They're like, you can bring us by like the
Oh,
end of
okay.
the year,
Yeah,
but
so like
like,
so if you haven't paid your
yeah,
mortgage, they can sell.
yeah.
So there's like an anonymous person offering a lot of money in cash, and they're like, "Fuck, it's got to be him." Like we just know it. And they're like, "Well, Cole, you're rich. Like, can you back us?" And Cole's like, "Yeah, that's the thing. I can't get my trust fund until I'm 40. It's kind of awkward because of an incident. Also, my parents wouldn't pay for college, so I do have a ton of loans. That's like where all my income goes." And I've just basically been like pretending, like playing this like rich boy
Like
lifestyle this whole
cosplaying.
time, like which is really like bold. Like Miriam's like,
I
wait,
mean, I
what? Like I just feel like what
guess.
a wild thing to like lie. It's just so odd. Cole's like, I can still hack his account, and they're like, nah.
And Elijah, the lawyer, is like, that's illegal. Always ruining
He's
the
like,
fun.
I should have known. Miriam's like, I should have known that he would like come for my friends. Like I never should have come here. And Noelle's like, did you know he'd come after Kerrigan's and you came here anyway? I was like, wow, like that is a low
And she
blow.
immediately regrets it. She immediately was like, that was a
Yeah.
fucked up thing to say.
Like
But
especially after Miriam said it for yeah. And Miriam leaves, and she's like, I'm gonna leave. Like, I'm packing up because I love you, and he'll never stop coming for you if I don't leave. And Noelle's like, wow, like I really can't trust you. This is
Yeah.
my worst fears confirmed.
And at this point, I was like, you have the dirt on him. Just send him to jail. Just send him to jail. Why are we hesitating here? You could send him to jail. Just do it.
But I don't know. You never know, though. Like, I feel like once someone has that kind of reputation, it's like you don't even want to risk it. Like,
No,
you don't
I
know what they're
know,
going to do.
yeah.
They're so volatile. Like,
But yeah, Noelle is basically like, you're a coward. And I was like, that's not fair.
just weird because Noelle's trauma isn't even really like being left. I don't know. She's the one to do the leaving. Anyway, Ziva, Miriam's mom, shows up and she's like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Like, this is too much. Like, I'm sorry I didn't do more to stop him before.
So basically, her mom called the dad, and the dad is basically like, regardless of whether Miriam leaves or not, like, I'm doing this like either way because like I hate Kerrigan's and I hate Joy. So Miriam is like, okay, well then I might as well stay to like try to figure out a way around this. And I'm like, she's like, let's destroy him, and I'm like, do crime, but they don't do crime; they do an auction.
Do an auction of Miriam's paintings, and the bidding starts at $30,000. And they're like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but there's like plenty of old families in the town that really want to save Kerrigan's. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, that's just so. That's what I'm saying about like, oh, it's so casually like, like the bidding starts at 30,000.
The auction is also online though, so like it's not just the people in the town paying this kind of money. It is still very bold. It's still very bold. Miriam basically calls Noelle out. She's like, Noelle is like, even though you're saying like we're done, like you betrayed my trust or whatever. And Miriam is like, okay, like so you basically, what I'm seeing is that you basically just like look for excuses to like ditch people before they can ditch you. And like she's like, that's not true. Like Cass was like a real bitch sometimes, and I really liked her. And Miriam was like, yeah, you liked that she was a bitch. Like that doesn't count. Does not count. And yeah, they're also doing a GoFundMe as well as the auction. But then the dad like reports their GoFundMe for fraud. And so like the investigation is like going to last too long. Like they won't be able to get the money in time. And then, Noelle has a painting of Baba Yaga. One of her paintings is of Baba Yaga.
And La Llorona.
No, but that's the painting she makes for Noelle. The painting she makes. Okay. So Noelle has like tattoos of like dangerous ladies, like ladies who have like committed murder, like historical ladies, like basically like all these like really like messed up lady. Like I think Lizzie Borden is on there. Noelle likes dangerous ladies. Yeah. So then they have the auction, and Miriam decides to start painting again. This is when I found Elf not unsexy, like didn't like it anymore. The old ladies, like Cole has filled the old ladies in on like their love problems, and like the old ladies are like, get your shit together. And then Noelle was like, we have the classic like running through the crowd, like I need to talk to her. I've realized the error of my ways. And like meanwhile, Miriam's already painted her like a little painting, and the auction is great. But like Miriam's mom is running it, and she's like, get out your checkbooks. And someone in the audience is like, what's a checkbook? And I was just like,
oh my God.
I was like, this feels very like the youth are eating Tide Pods. Like this is the vibe.
No, it
like,
really does.
Come on. What's a checkbook? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then you're gonna throw that in.
So it goes great, and then she reveals her painting that she has done for Miriam, and it is
the Kerrigan. Oh wait, sorry, Papa Yaga.
No, it's La
Llorona, famed feminist ghost of the rivers of Houston. Unclear what river, but like fair enough.
See, I don't tell. It was for you, Rachel. The thing in her painting is for you. It's La Llorona.
No, but actually, now that we just said that, I have no idea what river there is in Houston. I haven't seen a single river. There's like a little body of water running through like Memorial Park. I would call it a creek at most. I guess it's a river. There are bridges. Like I'll give you that, but like it seems man-made.
I don't know. There's the San Jacinto River, Trinity River, Armand Bayou, Braze Bayou.
It's the bayou.
Apparently Houston River, Buffalo Bayou.
Buffalo Bayou, but those are not rivers. Like I would not.
I don't know. I searched River Houston, and those were the things that came up. Cool. The painting has La Llorona and a cat in it.
Yes, they don't hear. This is when the mom's like, "I'm getting a divorce." They haven't heard from Cole in 3 days, which is really weird for Miriam. And then finally, he like sends them a sketchy note, and he's like, "I accepted a standing job offer for a firm in New Zealand. I'll be off grid for 6 months. I didn't take it before because I couldn't stand to be away from Miriam for that long." And he also like is really bold. He also finally hacked the dad. He sends them like more deets on that. And turns out the dad like has been involved in hard drugs, like
But
cocaine.
do they use it?
They
I
don't
don't
use it.
remember. They
Just
don't.
like to
I don't
keep, no,
think
they
we ever
don't. They
get
don't send him
whether
to
the dad
jail.
is in jail.
No, he's not in jail. It's just to keep in their back
I
pocket if he
know.
ever tries shit again, which is, yeah, I don't know.
I would have
But
liked him to
again,
be in jail at the end of this book.
yeah. And so the dad was like involved in some really shady people. And it's once again, it's like, yeah, he just seems to have like enjoyed hanging out with them. It's not because of like the money here.
He like cares about
Which also weirdly humanizes him in a way that I don't think was intended.
He's just like a weird dude.
He's a weird dude. He's just like he just likes hanging out with like the criminal people. I don't know. Like I'm just picturing them on their container ship full of drugs, like playing cards and like shooting the shit. I don't know. Anyway,
She goes to see Tara to like get her stuff and like close the loop or whatever. She also at that point like finds like a letter from Cass that like Cass had sent like the day before she died or something that was basically like, haha, psych, I'm leaving you the farm so you can get your act together. Love, Cass.
Yeah.
We also find out, so like Miriam is like closing the loop on like her Jewish community in Charleston as well, and we discover that the oldest continuously operating synagogue in the US is in Charleston.
Yeah,
I just
Charleston
feel like
is
that's
not,
such a plot twist. I know that it's
why?
old.
I feel like Charleston is not some like backwater. Like it is a major city. You were like, where is it? North Carolina?
Well, North Carolina or South Carolina. You're telling me that it's not reasonable for me to get those
Right,
things confused.
but I feel like Charleston is not a city that most people haven't heard of.
I'm not saying that people haven't heard of it. I'm not saying it's not a major city. I am just like, I would have expected the oldest continuously running synagogue to like be in New York. You know, like it's like I wouldn't have expected Charleston. That's what I'm saying. To have like that continuous of a Jewish population.
Yeah, no, that's true. I feel like there are more Jewish people maybe in New York from a longer time, but there are also probably more anti-Semitic people. Like, I don't know. Because continuously operated is the key word there.
Yeah,
it's interesting though. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like when you think of like Jewish, like heavy Jewish population centers, I feel like you don't think of Charleston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so Hannah also asks Cole to take a message to Levi because they're on the same side of the globe. But I'm like, ma'am, Levi is on a cooking show in Australia and Cole is in New Zealand. Like, you're asking him to take like possibly like a not insignificant flight and then show up in person. I don't know.
Okay, but consider this. Cole is an expert hacker. What if they're filming the show, the hosts are like reading off the teleprompters. Cole hacks into the teleprompter and is just like, "Dear Levi, a message from Hannah. You could come home. Love, Cole."
Why is the piece about being on that half of the globe relevant?
She's like technically closer. Maybe it's easier to hack the closer you are.
No.
I know.
The internet wire cables under the ocean. Listen.
I know. Anyway, she comes back. Miriam comes back and Noelle has built her a house.
Yeah.
But like she's built her a stair. Like she's technically like she didn't build the house from scratch. It's like the carriage house on the property that like she like turned into half her studio and half their apartment. But she built a staircase in like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And like she did all the other renovations.
Which doesn't seem safe now that you put it like that.
Insane. Like, what?
How are you passing the building code? I feel like there's inspections required.
No, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so as someone who has built a staircase before, it's actually not that hard to build a staircase in a day. I'm just impressed that she did everything, including building a staircase. Basically, they're like, let's get back together. Like Miriam's like, I'm gonna stay. And Miriam has this like thought, I think she like vocalized it, where she's like, I thought that I liked being accountable to no one, but after like growing up feeling like an intruder in my own house, it's nice being surrounded by people who love me. And this was like not a new feeling that I had. Like I kind of had this feeling throughout the book, but like that line particularly really like, I don't know, like really resonated with me. Like Miriam's not autistic, but I was like, that's like also like an element of like my feeling. And like I'm not implying that you guys were an abusive family, like it was the same situation, but it was like very much like just like constantly feeling like constantly having to like mask and like feeling like an intruder in your own life. And I was like, I am not going to pretend like that didn't make me tear up a little bit. And I was like, I didn't just want to go get my Chipotle. Like, why am I being emotionally attacked right now in the Chipotle parking lot?
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Noella's wearing a goddamn Henley. The cat is also living with them, which is important. And sorry, they're cuddling in bed. I just want to say about the cat. And at first Miriam is like, the cat has to like, he's got to go downstairs. And at first I was like, excuse me, rude. like you're confining the cat to the bottom half of the house, but it's actually just because they're about to bone and she doesn't want to like hurt the cat. But at first I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I know. I had the exact same like rapid fire. I was like, ma'am.
But it's just for his innocence. So,
yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and the Henley thing and like her being tall. Once again, this doesn't bother me as much anymore because now I'm just so like inured to it. But just like the way that even in like the gay romance books, it's like we still have the same like one person must be a tiny elf and the other one must be a giant like huge very large lumberjack type person.
Yeah. I mean, that is like the butch femme like sapphic aesthetic is very like prominent in the sapphic community.
Why can't the femme person ever be the tall one?
Yes, you're right.
Why not?
You're right, Rachel. You're right.
Thank you.
Is that what you want to hear?
That's all I want to hear. Again, I'm not actually like viscerally fired up by this at the time.
Yeah. Okay. And then Levi has returned, and I was like, when is their book going to be announced?
All right. The things about the Levi return, like before he comes, he's like, Miriam, like, why didn't you warn me that a very large, alarmingly beautiful blonde man, like he showed up on my set to yell at me, like meeting Cole. And I was like, all these like, I don't know. I feel like we just have a lot of like homosexual attention revolving Cole. Like we have like Levi calling him a large, beautiful blonde man. We have the random, what? What
if it's a throuple? What if it's Hannah,
right? Because
Cole,
Hannah did
and Levi? Because I'm saying
wait,
I was sensing a Cole Hannah thing at the beginning.
Yeah, because earlier Hannah was like, it'd be so much easier if I could have just fallen in love with Cole. Wait,
yeah, it's a polyamorous relationship, and Cole is going to be the balance that Hannah and Levi need.
Yeah, because Hannah's like so regimented, like needs structure. Levi is quote a feral cat who kept walking into bad choices to see what would happen. I love it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to be really upset if it's not a polyamorous relationship. I feel like they're queer, you know, like she's a queer author, just seems to be establishing herself. Like she was part of the Holla Gays, like author, like gang from this year, like make the Yuletide gay. Like they all had that little slogan. So Helena, if you haven't announced the book yet, I would just like pen a little letter to your editor and be like, I'm actually going to change the plot. Sorry about this. I'm actually going to change it.
Love it. Okay. Yeah, that's true, because then it wouldn't be like she's setting up so many different books in the same book. It's like just one book, really.
Yeah.
Unclear how the random sprightly man who's flirting with Cole comes in, except to like hint that Cole might not be straight. But
maybe like Cole, like Miriam is just so unobservant. Like Cole has told her and she was just like, what?
Yeah. Well, no, because the whole thing is that Cole constantly talks. Like they said that at the beginning. She's like, yeah, there's like a brief lull and then Cole continues talking as if I've been responding, which is how we communicate for the past 17 years. But if anything, Cole's the one who doesn't listen.
She zones out.
That's true.
So, you know, I mean, he totally could have said it and she just like she wasn't listening.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, never read.
Nice. Anyway, next book, when? Like, it's okay if it like takes a while to come out. I just need to know that it's coming.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the cat scale. So there is a cat. There's a painting of a cat. The cat gets mentioned a total of like 3 or 4 times. Kringle the cat.
He's very large though, so he kind of counts as like 2 cats, arguably. You know?
I don't know if either of these characters is a cat, honestly. Miriam's like a puppy that's been kicked. Noelle is like a big puppy.
That's also been kicked.
Yeah.
That kicks people? No. Noelle is like a Great Dane puppy. And like Miriam is like a King Charles Spaniel puppy. But Levi is explicitly a cat. Hannah, I feel like, is a cat because she's like a perfectionist. Like she needs to like be in control. Tara's a cat.
Levi's not really like part of the story that much. Like he is, but like not really. Tara's a cat. Unclear. She's like a guard dog. Little Doberman.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, 3,
2, 1, 5,
6. All right.
5.5.
All right. 5.5, baby. Yeah, I just, you know, listen, if the next book is a polyamorous relationship between Hannah, Levi, and Cole, we can pretty much guarantee that it's also going to take place at Kerrigan's. So
No, it
I
definitely
think
will. Yeah, because Hannah won't leave unless that'll be her whole thing. You think what?
that we have like a chance that like Helena has a chance to redeem herself by making Kringle a bigger character next time. All right, Rachel, where can they find us?
Oh, they can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at We Read It Podcast. At We Read It One Night. You can email us at We Read It One Night. Also, find us on Twitter at We Read It Podcast. And check us out on Redbubble.
So Redbubble now contains our ugly Christmas sweaters. We also have some Hanukkah designs, which were approved as funny and niche and very cute by my Jewish friends who I consulted on the designs. We have a very niche meme that Rachel doesn't get, but it's a romance. we have a shirt about Judah the Hammer Maccabee. This is why I had to put him on a shirt, because I was like, I've never heard of like a more romance hero nickname than the Hammer. Like, so if you're a fan of
like
niche Hanukkah characters, actually he's not niche. He's like the big hero of Hanukkah. So like we also have just like general winter fun. Just general winter.
Burr. Keep you warm by the fire, just like a romance book.
Yeah.
Hero would. Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.